Hello everyone, this is Gary, and today we're looking at 4 coaching tips for managers. And to do that, we're going to be looking at something called the GROW model. Now, that's really good because it's a technique that has been very useful to me, and it's a great idea and well worth looking at. It's a very well-known, long-standing method of dealing with coaching. But the great thing about this technique is that it's got applications in other parts of the management day-to-day tasks. So not just coaching, but mentoring, setting goals and solving problems, among other things. Now, what I would tend to suggest is that if you're going to use it, you have it in your mind. You don't set it out in quite such a structured, formal way as I'm going to deal with in this video, because the point of this video is just to explain how it works and to encourage you to use it day to day. But it's a really handy thing that you just have in the back of your mind, so that as you're going through issues of mentoring, coaching, setting goals, or indeed solving problems, you can make sure that you've got that checklist running there and you're keeping track of the things and make sure you've got everything covered. That's certainly the way I would tend to use it. Now, it's called the GROW model because it's a mnemonic, not surprisingly, G-R-O-W, and each of those letters stand for something in particular, which helps you to follow through on the various issues that you need to cover. So, just to give you a quick heads up, the GROW, G-R-O-W, is G for goals, R for reality, O for options and or obstacles, and W for the way forward. And what I'll do in this video is I'll cover each of those topics and just flesh it out a little more, give you a little more meat on the bones, so to speak, give you a little more information and material about what each of those parts mean. And that will then enable you to go away and use it if you wish, as a very useful and valuable and well-known technique. So it's nothing completely new in one sense, but on the other hand, because you know it's been well used over many years, it's well trodden, it's a very useful technique to keep using. And as I've said before, just keep it in the back of your mind, so that when these problems or issues arise and you find yourself in a position where you've got to just deal with something like a mentoring issue, or you've got some goals or objectives to work out, or you've got some problems in front of you you've got to solve and you're talking them through with other people, you can keep this in your mind as a checklist, as I've said, to follow through the key issues that need to be covered. Now, having given you that very quick introduction, I'm sure many of you out there are saying, look, that's great, can we just please get on with it? So that's exactly what we will do. Without more ado, and with bated breath, as they say in all good videos, let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into it. We're looking at 4 coaching steps for managers, and we're going to be using the GROW model. And this is an explanation of what it is and how it works. Of course, you must always read the small print, as they say. So, the GROW model, what is its purpose? Well, it is a management technique which has a number of purposes. It's primarily for coaching team members, but it can also be used successfully for mentoring, for setting goals, and also for solving problems. Now, what does the GROW model mean? It is a mnemonic, so what does each of those parts mean? Well, it's goals, it's reality, options and obstacles, options or obstacles, and finally the way forward, G-R-O-W. And that is broadly what those letters stand for, but let's just look at each of them individually. So in the G of GROW, we're looking at goals, in other words, objectives, or it could be problems to solve or decisions to make. And these are all part of the purposes for which this management technique can be applied. But in each case, you need to make them SMART. In other words, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. Now the R of the word GROW stands for reality. In other words, you're looking at what is the current position, or indeed what is the current progress we have made against the objective. If you're solving a problem, it might be because you've got partway through, you want to know the progress, the stage reached, what's the reality of the position, and what's the context or urgency. Then the O of grow, well, it will be either options or obstacles, or it could be both. In other words, you've looked at the reality of the stage you're at, and you're looking at the options to deal with the problems, or the obstacles or limitations that may prevent you making progress. In other words, what's stopping progress and what are the options to deal with them. And then you get to the W of grow. In other words, what is the way forward? Having then considered the goals, you've looked at the reality of where you are, and you've looked at the options or obstacles that prevent you going forward, you will have enough information to plan the way forward. In other words, what is then the strategy? How do we implement these options? How do we deal with these obstacles? And you have to ask yourself, is it likely to succeed? You've got to look at what the motive is or driver to succeed. And if you can do all that, well, the GROW model is as simple as that. And then you get to the actions finally, which of course have to be SMART. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. And then that takes you to the close of the GROW model. And I hope that's been of use to you. And indeed it is as easy as that. Okay, so that was the 4 coaching steps for managers. And I've gone through very briefly how to use what's known as the GROW model. So I hope that's been useful and it will be helpful to you in your day-to-day activities as a manager. I know that I found it very useful and I've been very pleased just to quickly run through it with you. Just to recap, we looked at the purpose of that GROW model, that technique for managing not just coaching but also mentoring and setting goals and indeed solving problems. We've looked obviously at the meaning of the constituent parts of those letters, GROW, the GROW model, in terms of goals, reality, options and obstacles, and ultimately the way forward. And then we've looked at the detail of each of those 4 elements and how you might apply them in practice when you're dealing with members of your team or department, or simply trying to solve issues yourself. And the GROW model as a management technique, well, it's as easy as that. Now, if you like this video, I'd be so grateful if you could mark it as a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, well then please subscribe. But apart from that, all that is left for me to say is thanks very much for watching and bye for now.